Now, the Ulster Unionist MLA David McNarry has joined an exclusive club at Stormont. He was ejected from the chamber this morning. It's a club with only 3 members, I think. Aris Robinson founded the gang, followed by DUP colleague Nelson McCausland. And they're now joined from across the benches by Mr McNarry. He was thrown out for comments he made in May about Sinn Féin's Raymond McCartney. Here's what got him into trouble.
David McNarry. Mr McNarry.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I note that the questioner, the member for Foyle, who might know someone who might know some more, is not offering cash back from the proceeds of the Northern Bank robbery, which would substantially add to the criminal asset recovery funds if he or some of his friends come forward.
Will you keep your question?
So that was the initial comment that had to be looked at. The Speaker ruminated on those comments for 4 weeks and today finally gave his verdict. He didn't like them. Here's how he pronounced sentence.
I warn members on many occasions to care about what they say about other members in this chamber. Direct allegations of criminal behaviour against other members when there have been no convictions, and I would certainly underline that particular issue. And I have reflected on what Mr McNarry said in that particular debate, and I believe that the direct, unsubstantiated allegations of criminal behaviour were made against another member. I regard the remarks as unparliamentary, and I ask Mr McNarry to withdraw them. Mr McNarry.
I have no statement to make, Mr Speaker.
I would advise the member that he has not withdrawn the remarks. I now order him, under Standing Order 65, to withdraw immediately from the chamber, from his precincts, during the remainder of today's sitting. Let me say to all sides of the House, and I continually say this, and let me say as well, as Speaker, I come at all of these issues in a very measured way, in the hope that we can always resolve these issues. But then there are some members who take that as a weakness from the Speaker. Let me make it absolutely clear, it's not a weakness. And where I have to step up to the mark to deal with issues, no matter how difficult those issues are, I will deal with them. But I always try, especially behind the scenes, to see if we can resolve the issues. But our members are not prepared to at least try and resolve the issues. I have no choice then but to come into this House and deal with the issues, because my job is very much to protect the integrity of this House and the business that goes through this House. And I have said continually in this House, it doesn't give me no pleasure whatsoever to come into this House this morning and deal with this particular issue. Where I feel an issue can be resolved, it should be resolved. And I would just remind the whole House and all of that, do not take it as read that there's a weakness in the Speaker. That is not the case.
Speaker Willie Hay telling all members to be on their best behaviour. Mark, this is the 3rd person to be expelled for a day, the 4th expulsion, isn't that right?
I think so, yeah. Well, we had Nelson McCausland put out over very similar circumstances. He was talking at that stage about Gerry Adams, and it related to the IRA background that he alleged of Gerry Adams. And David McNarry sort of going into similar terrain here. His comments were about Raymond McCartney, who, of course, had a conviction previously in relation to the IRA. Although
but not
I think
the Northern Bank, which is what he was talking about.
Not
yes.
the Northern Bank. So he was alleging that Raymond McCartney knew somebody who knew somebody who was involved in the Northern Bank. So whilst he no doubt would have said that's a figure of speech, Willie Hay was saying, well, you know, there's no actual proof of this. This may come up again, I suppose. It looks a bit like a publicity stunt. At the same time, it's kind of curious if you get something where you think, well, there's some sort of factual or historical element to this, i.e., you know, clearly people within this chamber were involved with the IRA in some shape or form, as to why people are being put out, So, it's an interesting one for the Speaker. Ordinarily, if I was to say, look, Jim Fitzpatrick, you were involved in X, Y and Z, you would be able to take me to court for libel if I did that right now. Now, of course, we
Just
have...
as well.
Yeah, so I'm going to be very careful about that. But obviously these are privileged proceedings here, so they are guarded against libel. So I suppose in a way the Speaker comes in sort of the final court of justice here in relation to this.
And he gave a little hint as to how he likes these things to be resolved. It is since last month when this happened. He's only ruled on it today. He obviously was trying in the interim to sort things out, but Mr McNarry was not for changing his tune.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a problem because, I mean, if the unions sort of launch into something about the IRA, they probably won't change their tune because they'll say we are calling it the way it is. On the other hand, we have, for instance, Iris Robinson, who's the first to be thrown out. Now, that was in relation to a very specific thing where she said that Michael Magimsi had misled the House. And I suppose those kind of rows between individual MLAs, the Speaker maybe could sort of arbitrate, mediate in some way and try and get it amicably resolved. But then when you get these bigger issues, it's always unlikely that anybody's going to back down in those circumstances.
Just to find out, does Mr McNarry enjoy his pay on his day off?
My guidance at the moment is that he does indeed get his pay, that there's no particular mechanism for docking pay from suspended members, and no doubt he'll say, I'm continuing to carry on with my work outside the chamber. Indeed, David McNarry has, just within the last few months, pinged in a press release, so even though he's outside the precincts, he's electronically working his way into my computer, criticising Nigel Dodds for being absent during the budget debate and going on again about what he sees as the failings in the handling of the finances here. So he says he's still at his political work, even though he's locked outside the gate.
OK, thanks for that, Mark.